The movie begins with Detective Patterson beating the crap out of a man named Knuckles for kidnapping a woman and threatening him with life in prison. He demands the woman's whereabouts, but Knuckles confesses that she is dead. Wealthy real estate mogul Will is driving his wife Lisa to her parents' house, where she wants to spend some time to herself. It turns out that Lisa had an affair, and while Will tells her he is fine with it, Lisa does not want to talk about it. Will realizes that he is low on gas and decides to pull over at a nearby gas station. Will thinks they could get away and take a holiday together, but Lisa is determined to take this time to clear her mind and gain a better perspective, whatever that means. Lisa heads inside the gas station to use the restroom and turns out she is still getting texts from her lover. She then purchases a bottle of water, but before she exits, a man stops her to talk. Will is outside on a call. A truck pulls up to the station for a while, then drives away. Will, seeing no sign of Lisa, checks for her in the restrooms but sees no sign of her. Growing increasingly concerned, he checks the store, then asks the clerk if she saw his wife, but the clerk has no idea. He tries calling her cell phone, which goes directly to voicemail. Nobody outside has seen her either, and Will calls for her loudly. He heads back inside the gas station, but the clerk again is adamant that he doesn't recall seeing Lisa. Will begins to panic, and as he gets into his car, the clerk watches him closely. Will circles the entire parking lot, but it seems that Lisa has vanished into thin air. Will gets the address of the gas station from the clerk, then calls the cops to report Lisa missing. Will's call is directed to Detective Patterson, who takes a description of Lisa. He doesn't think much of the disappearance, but Will demands that a unit be sent over immediately as Lisa could be in danger. Patterson promises to send a unit as soon as one is available and tells Will to stay put. After what seems like hours to Will, he leaves the gas station, scanning the roadway for Lisa. He heads over to her parents Barry and Anna's house. Will explains that he is unable to find Lisa after stopping to get gas, but Barry and Anna begin to blame Will and suspect that he may have had a fight with Lisa. Barry and Will get into an argument until Anna manages to calm them down. Will explains that he contacted the police and is going to meet the detective and heads out, but when he leaves, Barry and Anna reveal they don't trust Will. Will returns to the gas station, where no cop has yet arrived. He has a flashback to a talk he had with Lisa. She had suggested that they take a break but cannot explain why she is no longer invested in their marriage. Will loses his temper as every other week Lisa comes up with a reason to disappear for a few days. After a while, Detective Patterson pulls up. The two talk for a bit, and Will gives Patterson Lisa's laptop. They head inside to ask the clerk, Oscar, for security footage, but Oscar claims that all his cameras have been down for weeks. Patterson plans to return to the police station to issue an APB, and Will decides to stay put and keep an eye out for Lisa. Will stays at the gas station for a while until he spots a surveillance camera nearby and realizes that the indicator lamp is on. Will goes to confront Oscar for lying about the cameras. Oscar still sticks to his story and tries chasing Will out of the store, but Will knows the cameras are working and is determined to get the feed. Will goes around the counter and attacks Oscar in a rage until Oscar confesses and tells him to take the feed. Will grabs the recording and heads straight for the police station, asking to show Patterson the recording. The cops get the security feed playing, and Will sees Lisa stop to talk to a man outside whom she seems to know. Just as the two walk to the man's car, a truck blocks the view. When the truck moves, the car is gone with both Lisa and the man. Patterson takes Will to another room to ask him a few questions, and Will complies. Patterson questions Will about his marriage, and upon learning that the two are going through a rocky time, Patterson implies that maybe Will and Lisa had a fight. Will is confused by Patterson's line of questioning, wondering why they are wasting time talking when Lisa could be in danger. Patterson sticks to his questioning and then learns that Lisa had an affair about 6 months ago, and Will has a life insurance policy worth a few $1,000,000. Will is getting fed up with Patterson's line of questioning, calling them benign. Patterson tells him he is free to go but asks to see a picture of Lisa. Will shows him the picture on his phone, and Patterson takes it, saying he'll be right back. Outside the room, Patterson is watching Will on the cameras, not sure what to make of his behavior and thinking he is a wild card. Will leaves, recalling better times with Lisa before everything fell apart. He returns to his in-laws' home, but they have not heard anything from Lisa. He shows them the photo he took of the surveillance footage, and the couple recognizes the man as Knuckles, their handyman. Anna then recognizes the car, having seen it before at a location called Morrison's garage. Will immediately sets off. He contacts Patterson, hoping for any updates, but Patterson has heard nothing. The two then plan to keep in touch. Will finds Morrison's from GPS directions and grabs a crowbar from his trunk. He approaches the garage from the bushes and spots the same car from the surveillance system. Using the crowbar, he breaks through the fence and sneaks over to the building where, inside, Knuckles is busy doing something. Will sneaks around to the front and silently enters the house to see Knuckles packing frantically and confronts him. Knuckles denies knowing anything, but Will isn't playing around. The two begin to fight, and Will almost chokes the life out of Knuckles before he mentions the name Frank. Knuckles again tries to fight back, this time reaching for a gun, but Will beats his ass and throws him from the building. Will beats his face in brutally until Knuckles cries out that Lisa is with Frank and he will take Will to him. Will re-enters the cabin and grabs the gun and tape, which he uses to bind Knuckles before dragging him back to the car and stuffing him in the trunk. Meanwhile, Patterson and a cop return to the gas station to speak with Oscar but learn that he left early. Patterson then demands that the new clerk tell Oscar to call. Will unknowingly breaks the speed limit and gets pulled over by a cop. The cop approaches the car and asks for his documents, then heads back to his car. The cop returns and asks Will to step out of the car and begins to look inside before asking him to pop the trunk. Will agrees, then suddenly takes off sprinting into the woods before the cop finds Knuckles gagged and bound. Will stops to catch his breath before continuing on. Meanwhile, Patterson goes to speak with Barry and Anna as he has found out about Lisa's lover Clint from her laptop. He recently reached out to Lisa to meet up, but she never replied to his messages. They have cleared Clint, but Patterson has no idea where Knuckles is as his trailer is empty. Will is still making his way when he gets to the roadway and finds a seemingly abandoned ATV. The owner comes upon Will messing with his bike. With quick thinking, Will explains he is looking for Frank. The man is suspicious of Will, but he plays his part well, explaining his car broke down and he was called to do business with Frank. The man attempts to radio Frank right there but gets no response. Will pretends to get more agitated, claiming that Frank will not be happy with him being late. Not wanting to get in trouble, the man allows Will to proceed. Will then comes upon a small trailer park in the woods where multiple people live. Will pulls his gun and begins to sneak around the park until he spots who he thinks is Frank giving out orders. Will waits until the coast is clear, then ventures closer, his heart in his mouth. Will takes cover beside a car, unaware a man is inside. The man spots him, but Will quickly attacks and knocks the man out. Will then sees Oscar pull up to the trailer park, greeting the men. He grabs the man's shotgun and begins to push deeper into the park, trying to catch any glimpse of Lisa. He enters a shed, looking around, and has to quickly take cover just as a man enters. Once the coast is clear, Will enters another room where he ambushes a lone man, knocks him out, and covers him up. Patterson gets news of the entire incident and is in disbelief. He goes to question Knuckles, who is being difficult, claiming that he is the victim in this case. Patterson tells him to confess where Lisa is, and maybe he will be able to help him out, but Knuckles refuses to talk. Patterson wants to know how Knuckles got Lisa in his car, reminding him that he is on video talking to her. There is a flashback to Knuckles greeting Lisa outside the gas station. He lured her back to his car under the guise of giving her an invoice to give to her parents, then suddenly pulled a knife on her and forced her into the car. Despite this, Knuckles still denies harming Lisa. Will heads deeper into the building, gun ready, when he comes upon Frank and a group of men. He takes a moment to gather himself, using memories of Lisa to steady his nerves. Will enters the room, gun drawn, startling the men, wanting to know where Lisa is, promising not to get the cops involved if Frank talks. Frank denies everything, just wanting Will to put the gun down. Frank then orders the men to open a container behind them to see inside. One man tries grabbing a gun and gets shot by Will, and Frank escapes. Frank lets off shots at Will, forcing him to hide behind cover. Will finally returns fire, and Frank takes off running. Will goes searching for him, checking every inch and corner carefully. The two men then begin to stalk each other through the building, hoping to get the upper hand and the first kill. Frank almost hits Will, who swiftly returns fire. He hears Frank groaning and goes over to see him riddled with bullets. Will is angry as now he is unable to get answers from Frank and tries thinking of another way forward. The gunfight has started a fire, which slowly begins to spread. Will walks back outside, which is now empty. He is lost, with only memories, both good and bad, of Lisa floating through his head. We then return to the first scene where Patterson grabs Knuckles, demanding that he talk, and Knuckles finally confesses that Lisa is dead. Will continues searching the building around the trailer, but Lisa is nowhere to be found. At that moment, Oscar confronts Will with a gun, and the two men have a standoff. Oscar claims that he was just here for the drugs and was not involved in the kidnapping. Both men don't want to get killed and agree to lower their guns. Oscar knows about the messy marriage and potential divorce from Knuckles. Oscar knows where Lisa is, but his tweaking ass wants 20 grand from Will to talk. Will doesn't believe him until Oscar shows him Lisa's cell phone. Will just wants to get Lisa back, so he agrees to the deal. Will thinks he could go to the bank and get the cash, but Oscar wants the money right now. The two begin to argue about the cash when the shed suddenly explodes in a ball of fire, killing Oscar and leaving Will dazed. Patterson demands to know how Knuckles knows Lisa is dead and is shocked to learn that Knuckles dug the hole himself. He reveals that he told Frank about Lisa coming back to town and how she married a rich dude. He got the idea of kidnapping Lisa and forcing Will to pay a large ransom for her safe return, but when he brought Lisa to Frank, he was upset that he grabbed her at the gas station due to the cameras. Frank told him to dig a hole for her, but fearing that he would be killed too, he ran away. Patterson asks the location of the hole and learns that it is at Frank's house. Emergency services arrive at the trailer park to clean up. Patterson also arrives there to see Will still there. Will wonders if he is under arrest for Knuckles being in his trunk, but Patterson tells him to stay put. Patterson walks to the back of Frank's building where he sees a shallow grave, but it turns out to be empty. Meanwhile, Will takes a seat at the edge of the property, not sure what to do next, exhausting all his options. At that moment, he hears banging coming from a shed at the far end of the trailer park and goes to investigate nervously. Inside, he can hear someone groaning, and Will opens the door to see a gagged and bound Lisa. He holds her close to him as she breaks down in tears, telling her that everything will be okay. She begs him to take her away, and Will lifts her into his arms and walks out with her. He brings her back to her parents' house when Patterson pulls up. He explains that Knuckles confessed to everything but still blames Frank, and Oscar just tried cashing in on the deal. He has inspected the bodies, and some of them died from gunshots, but Patterson thinks everyone got what they deserved. After he leaves, Lisa comes out to speak with Will. Lisa takes his hands with a smile, and the two walk into the house together.